Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the 163rd episode of the Philly Blitz Pod. I'm your host, Piero Baptiste. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Mark Welford Owens, represented by 14th and Market. It's been a little minute since we recorded. Last pod we did was the AJ Brown trade emergency pod. The Eagles since then they've had their 2 days of mini camp. OTAs have wrapped up. So we're going to talk a little bit about takeaways from those. Going to get into two new signings they've made, and kind of talk about what the potential for the defense is in 2026. So, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, brother. I'm doing well. Wubba lubba dub dub to those who celebrate. This the one and only Markwell Fripp Owens. Glad to be back. Talk some Eagles ball. Glad to see the guys on the field. Smiles all across the world. I'm sure you guys seen Jalen Hurts post on the NFL.com Instagram. Just all smiles. Well, why wouldn't it be? It's always sunny in Philadelphia.
I saw a post today. It was like he ain't smiled this much in years.
I don't know if it's the relief of having more camaraderie, as he would say, or having the monkey of Kevin Patullo not being there off his back. But either way, it's a great week. It's a great day to be a Philadelphia Eagle.
Yeah. So let's get into the signings here, just to kind of get those out the way before we jump into the OTAs and minicamp takeaways. The Eagles added two players, edge rusher AJ Epinesa and guard Michael Jordan. I think we can kick it off with Epinesa, a former second-round pick of the Bills in 2020. He's played in 91 games with 19 starts, mostly been a bit of a rotational player, situational pass rusher. The thing that sticks out to me, though, is the measurables. He comes in at 6'6". He's in the 270 to 280 pound range, 34-inch arms.
That's the interesting. I didn't mean to cut you off. That's the interesting thing. So the Eagles listed him at 280, but in the last couple stops, well,
he's been like Buffalo. 260, 270.
Yeah, Buffalo, and when he was coming out of college, it was listed as 260, 270, like you mentioned. So for them to list it that high, it's interesting to say the least.
Yeah. Like I said, he's been a rotational piece, but he's been a very productive rotational piece, right? He's had 3 seasons with at least 6 sacks. Also a very interesting note that I noticed: 4 interceptions and 14 pass breakups over the last 3 seasons. So this is a guy who has
he only had 23 coverage reps.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, you said 3 seasons?
Yeah.
Hell, that's still, what's that, 16, 33? It's like 41 coverage reps in 3 seasons. So you said 4 interceptions? That's pretty intriguing.
It's a guy who adds a little bit of versatility to the room. I think when you look at the edge room and how it's currently constructed, he adds the added element of some size. What they lost with Jalen Phillips, in terms of the room being now Jonathan Gennard, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, potentially them bringing back BG, but Arnold Ebiketie. A lot of those guys, they're kind of more of the speed to power kind of pass rusher guys. This guy, AJ Epinesa, he's all power as a pass rusher.
I remember when he was coming out, we was talking about how stiff he was, but buddy, would he run through your face? But I mean, so kind of like you mentioned, kind of feels the power of void left from the departure of a guy like Jalen Phillips. I mean, you mentioned a name like Brandon Graham. When I first seen the signing, I initially thought, especially when they seen I listed him at 280, maybe this could be one of those voids to fill in terms of the Brandon Graham. And I mean, just thinking about it,
kick inside.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at his numbers now, while he didn't do it at all last season, he has 18 career snaps where he's played in the B gaps, but for the most part, he's either over tackle or outside tackle. So it's something that we could experiment with, but I mean, of course, like we like to talk about with the loss of another AJ that we had, where you wouldn't necessarily expect one person to negate the issue. And I mean, it's Brandon Graham. It's not like we're talking about Brandon Graham in 2010 or anything, but him, a guy that, I mean, we talked about us ourselves being pretty disappointed in early in camp, but it's early and gracious. White Gorilla.
Ty Robinson.
Yeah, Ty Robinson. A guy like him, they have bodies that they can potentially kick inside to be versatile. Show you some of those little NASCAR packages or anything.
Yeah, but also there may be a medical red flag on him. He did sign with the Browns earlier in the offseason before he got to Cleveland, and they did the physical, and Cleveland backed out of the deal. I don't know exactly what they saw in the physical. I don't know that that's been reported, but clearly the Eagles, they didn't view it as much of an issue because they added him and they signed him. Um, so there's that on Epinesa. Next signing, guard Michael Jordan. That sound you
Come on,
just heard.
man. 6'6"
That
guard.
that sound you just heard was Jalen Hurts applauding.
It's so hilarious how this whole thing takes place. I mean, we all saw the basketball game. Gosh, who was it? Was it I know Janky Rondo streamed it. Oh, Christian Gonzalez. Christian Gonzalez basketball game. He had Smitty there, AJ Brown there. We all seen the infamous Trey Amos post. Shout out to Pierre for getting that going global. But what didn't come from there is, well, what wasn't highly seen from there is another video of AJ Brown. He's like, well, if they asked you who would you play like a basketball player, who would you be? LeBron. Yeah, because you know LeBron James is the best player of all time. Yeah, LeBron James versus Michael Jordan. I'm ready to have that conversation right now. And then 2 days later, coincidentally, the Eagles signed guard Michael Jordan. Jalen, like, I know he did. Not my man. He didn't diss my man like that. Don't worry, I got something for him. Watch this. You know, gangsters moving in silence like lasagna.
Jalen said, "Check me."
Nah, it was probably more like this. What y'all wanted to see, right?
But just to give a little bit of background on Michael Jordan, he's a decent depth at former 4th-round pick of the Bengals in 2019. He started 49 games. Some interesting notes, and these came from Anthony DeBona, his article on I'm forgetting the brand name. I'm sorry, but
Philly Special, I believe it is.
Yeah, the Philly Special. Yeah, the Philly Special. I'm
Shout
sorry
out to the guys over there.
Yeah, he played under Eagles passing game coordinator Josh Grizzard last season with the Buccaneers. You know, me and you, we talked a lot about the Buccaneers last year and the injuries up front along the offensive line. That being the reason why their offense kind of struggled so much. Well, Michael Jordan, he played 718 snaps at guard last year for Tampa Bay, again with Josh Grizzard as offensive coordinator. And he also had a short stint with the Packers in 2024 when Sean Mannion was in his first year as an assistant coach with them. So that's score one for the cohabitation matrix. But I think all in all, it's not a game changer of a signing by any stretch of the imagination. But I think he's more than capable of stepping in a pinch if needed.
Yeah, man. And I mean, I guess how I see it is when you look at some of those second team names that came out from minicamp and in the OTAs, you see, I mean, it's exciting to see Drew Kendall taking guard reps. And I mean, shout out to Willie Lampkin getting some center reps with the second and third team. Michael Morris being the second team guard was also something interesting to see, but we'll talk more about that in a second. But I mean, there's not many names here to die for, and we can always live and die on the belief that this scheme minimizes talent at the offensive line position, kind of with how you work in tandem. As long as the team works good together, individual talent shouldn't be a big thing. So maybe we're making a bigger deal out of the depth or lack of depth than they are. But I mean, clearly they made the signing, so maybe they have the same opinion that we have.
Yeah. I mean, anytime, you add a guy a depth sign like that, it's clear sign that internally they kind of view the depth of the offensive line as, I won't say weakness, but it needs to be improved.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's one way to put it. Hey, it's early, so they could just have the argument they want as many bodies as they can, especially a guy like you mentioned that has been in the scheme before. They seem to highly value those type of players right now. I don't know if it's for them to come in and actually compete for positions or them to come in and be basically on-field teachers, helping other players understand what is being asked for them in this scheme since they played in it. But the preference is clearly there.
Yeah, I think a clear sign of it is the fact that they tried so many different combinations in OTAs and minicamp, and it's almost like they just said, you know what, yeah, we got to add somebody.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess we can kind of use this as a slow transition into minicamp in its own right. But we start there with the offensive line. I mean, of course, no Lane Johnson early on in OTAs. Good to see him kind of in the building. I don't know if you had the opportunity to hear him talk during his press conference, but
I did a little bit of skimming through some of the articles that were written on him. I think Zach Berman had one on the Athletic. It was a really, really good article.
Yeah, man. But listening to him, and you and I have had this conversation, kind of listening to him talk about how excited he is to play in this game because of how much of the individual talent that I just mentioned played a forefront part of the Eagles offense over the past couple years. And now it's like a tandem, like I said, and he
Yeah,
gets to work collectively, not much pressure on him, which Lane Johnson is the best right tackle in football. You make an argument for the best offensive tackle in football, but hell, who wouldn't want their job to be easier, man? And I'm sure on the other side of the field, Jordan Mailata is probably saying a lot of the same thing. My big thing is kind of the interior. How does the interior hold up in health and change of scheme? We've had conversations all off season about how a guy like Landon Dickerson fits into this. I mean, he's a lot to be excited for when you think about Tyler Steen and Cam Jurgens, those guys who are probably a bit smaller for their positions but
yeah,
more agile, do a lot of the things that the scheme will want for them to do for off in terms of offensive line play. So the depth or lack of depth behind that group is definitely something to keep an eye on, in my opinion.
yeah. And I haven't seen as much reported on Tyler Steen, but Landon Dickerson and Cam Jurgens, from everything that I've seen from reporters who've been down there, they've looked really good this
Yeah,
spring,
man. I
right?
think
Like Cam Jurgens. Yep,
Dickerson
yeah, go ahead.
was that didn't have a sleeve, right?
Yeah, yeah, he didn't have a sleeve on at all.
On
I
either
think it
leg.
was, yeah, I think it was OJ who tweeted it, but shout out to OJ Spivey. But Landon, he's been moving really well in not only team drills, individual drills. Looks like he hasn't lost a step. And Cam Jurgens, he talked about it, but how the scheme is going to kind of allow him to showcase some of the athleticism that was kind of a calling card for him when he was coming out of Nebraska, and just how good he feels after I think it was the stem cell surgery that he had. So like you said, I think things are looking up for the starters on offensive line. Like you talked about with Lane, him talking about how excited he is to play in this system. I think he verbatim said he's kind of watched it for years and kind of envied the offensive linemen who've played in it, and now he gets his shot to play in it. So, like you said, things are looking up for them on the offensive
On a
line.
side note, and I mean, of course, we know this. There are people too. They do the same thing we do as fans, sitting there and be like, "How many times have you heard people say, you watched insert team here on offense, and you watch the Eagles, and they're playing a different sport?" So it's cool to see guys like AJ Brown when he was tweeting about guys like CD Lamb when he got like 20 targets in the game. He was
Yeah,
like, "Damn, they feeding, bro." And to hear Lane Johnson talk about, "Yeah, I watch other offensive linemen around the league, and I get pretty envious. Like, damn, their job's pretty easy. I got to work really hard." But it's like these people, of course, like I said, they're people too, but they're fans of the game, man. They see what's going on around the league. And despite all the success that we've had as a franchise, I mean, that just goes to show you how talented that we are. But man, sometimes it's okay to make life easier for your
yeah.
team. And we were like that for a long time on both sides. All I could think about saying this was Fletcher Cox going to the Jonathan Gannon, like, stop dropping my people back in the coverage, bro. Stop trying to ask me to drop in the coverage.
he
Simplify
said,
life.
he said, I don't get paid to cover screens.
So these players, they watch it, man. They watch it and they see, and they definitely are very opinionated about how they're utilized, and they should be, man. They should be.
Yeah, so and this I know we're talking about OTAs, but this is kind of it might go off on a tangent, but it's something that I think that's kind of been really interesting to me at least, but just all the hype that's around the offense and Sean Mannion and everything like that, right? Like Jordan Mailata, he called Sean Mannion an evil genius. Jalen Hunt said he used the word dangerous. Dallas Goddard, he talked about how players going to be schemed open. Like we just talked about, Lane Johnson, he talked about how envious he's always been of the system and wanting to play in it. And he also brought up how he's going to get assistance from guards for the first time in his career. I think there's a lot of like enthusiasm and hype around the system. We talk all the time about Jalen Hurts and how many different systems he's had to be a part of and different things like that. And this is another one. And, that in combination with the ESPN reporting from this spring, you kind of think he'd be kind of annoyed at this entire situation, having to learn another offense. But, and this is a credit to Sean Mannion, a lot of the players, that we've heard, they're buying what he's selling, right? Like, he's clearly done a good job of explaining, how the system works, what the roles are. I think Chris Cooper, I think Zach Berman said it on the Philly special pod. But he talked about Chris Cooper saying how Sean has done a good job of explaining and defining player roles in sort of black and white.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think when you kind of look at the coaches like Chris Cooper, Ryan Maffey, Sean Mannion, all these are guys who've played in the league. So I think that also makes it easier for all the players to buy in and kind of, be on board with what they're selling.
Yeah, man. I mean, so first I must say, just taking away some of the things I've heard from minicamp and the OTAs, it's a bittersweet thing. Of course, everything that you've mentioned, listening about all the excitement of the players, talk about the scheme, and specifically that last thing that you mentioned. And I've harped on that all off season about the biggest thing. My biggest thing with Sean Mannion. The thing I'm mostly excited about is the teacher that they're
Teacher.
bringing in the building. He's a hell of a teacher. Everybody, and it's cool to see Eagles players doing it already, but he doing just the minimal work I did when he first got hired to doing the deep dive once he officially got the job and we were trying to understand what the offense would look like. The one thing that kept coming across was different people from his time as a player and as a coach continuing to talk about how great a teacher he was, how great he is of helping you understand what not just the scheme, but specific plays, specific roles are asked of you. And so once again, to hear Eagles players say that glowingly now, it's cool to hear. That being said, I mean, it's no secret that they've said that the defense has kind of taken the offense to school
But
over the.
I mean, that's to be expected though. This
Yeah,
is
they're
the
learning a new
what third or
scheme.
fourth year in the defense.
Yeah,
This is all new for the offense. This is a new scheme, new the timing, the offensive blocking schemes, route combination. All of this is new.
yeah. I guess I don't want to say it's concerning because it's early on, but I guess my whole thing is, despite all the excitement surrounding everything, I just want us to all temper expectations. And I've heard this from a bunch of platforms. I think I was listening to PHLY talk about it, and they were saying how wouldn't surprise me if early in the season the offense, kind of the same way I spoke about the Vic Fangio group in year one, where first couple of weeks it took them a while to find their footing, but by let's say week 9, the things that they put on tape early will be executed differently than what they were executed early on because they have a complete understanding of it. And I mean, we talked about this last part, the complex offense that this might be, how everything that Jalen has to kind of unlearn about the position and relearn to how they want to operate offensively. Of course, we've heard everybody talk about how big a change this is going to be for Jalen Hurts and stuff like that. So just seeing how slow it was kind of humbling. It was kind of, despite everything that everybody's saying, it's going to be a slow process for you guys. So let's take our time and
Yeah, and this goes into my takeaways from OTAs and minicamp, but I don't think it should be a shock to anybody, right? Like it's not surprising, right? Like I said, like this is new. It's all new. It's literally a new scheme. It's a new system. Like the 2 years ago when Jalen Hurts said it's this is 95% new. This is 100% new to them and him. Like if you follow the reports, almost every practice that's been open to media, they talked about the new formations, the position groupings, how in team drills there's been a lot of the middle of the field targets, play action usage, the target and running backs out of the backfield. But the offense as a whole, when they've gone into 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s, it's just been really inconsistent. Jalen Hurts, he's thrown a few interceptions, which you don't really want to see. But again, it's a new system. It's a new
Coach threw an
scheme.
interception on the first play of practice. I was like, oh, okay.
But
Okay.
look at it like this. It's a new perspective. Look at it like this. A lot of the passes are out in front of the receivers. Like I said, he's throwing interceptions. I wouldn't characterize it as him being erratic, but at least he's trying. He's trying new things, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a
This is what they
system
want
that's
from
asking
you.
him. Yeah, it's a system that's asking him to do things that he's not done in the past. He's not really that comfortable doing. He's trying.
And I
This is
mean,
all. This is all you can want. If he's gonna make mistakes, you'd rather him make them now than in September or
later.
October, right?
Right. And I mean, I guess that's my big thing. I think back to ESP's reporting over the last couple of years about Jalen Hurts and how football barely touched the ground and how, I mean, that Patriots, you talk about it all the time with that Patriots practice from Tom Brady years ago and how that same sentence echoed across the walls of the NovaCare complex at that time. Ball barely touched the ground. And they was kind of chasing a specific high, for lack of a better term, of what they wanted in that building. And it seemed like they were kind of getting there. And for the most part, Jalen Hurts has done a really good job of protecting the football. over the last couple years, let's say. This is the time of year where you should make passes that you probably wouldn't make during the
Yeah.
regular season, because you want to understand those, when you want to get on the same page with your receivers. You want to understand what throws you feel comfortable making, what throws you don't feel comfortable making. Just kind of getting familiar with the nuance of things.
But I
It's
also
just
think when you look at it kind of in conjunction with, over the past 2-3 years with the way the offense is operating and them being kind of hyper fixated on not turning the ball over, I think it's a good thing to see them taking chances and throwing the ball down the field deep to Devontae or Dontavian Wicks and different things like that. Like I think it's a good thing.
yeah, man, and it's cool seeing all the different wide receivers get looks. I mean, Smitty was out today with a personal issue, or what might have been yesterday, one of the two. So, of course, we know Mekhi Lemon has been sidelined with the hamstring injury. A lot of guys been having opportunity to get. We talked about all the tick they was getting Johnny Wilson early on. Believe the starters today with him out, with those two out, and Lemon and Smitty, were Wicks and Brown. So a lot of different guys who could potentially make a lot of noise for this football team. That's fun to see. Like, I mean, again, if there are going to be mistakes
Yeah.
made, it's going to be a learning process. I just I feel like it's been such glowing reviews from the offense about what the prospects of the scheme could be. But I just want people to understand that it's a process before results. So when we get to week one and the results aren't there, not saying that they won't be, but if it's a slow walk for them trying to continue to put it all together before it's, hey, yeah, we got this thing, let's really get the ball rolling, it's okay. It, Rome wasn't built in a day, as I say all the time.
Yeah, I think the focus right now, and this is gonna sound a little Jalen Hurtsy, but the focus right now is growth, right? Like you said, Rome wasn't built in one day. It's day by day, getting better.
One
You know,
percent better.
1% better every day. Yeah, and I'll continue to say it. This is a new scheme. It's a new system. It's new route concepts. It's a new blocking scheme for the O line. It's all new. So again, this shouldn't come as a shock to anybody that the offense has been a bit inconsistent. If you get into the season and it's inconsistent, okay, then we have a problem. But for right now, no, I don't think it's anything to be concerned over.
So does it concern you? And I mean, we talked about this a bit last season. And again, it's early. It's not like we're having the same conversation in July training camp or when they come back in 6 weeks and stuff like that. But does it concern you a bit that Mekhi Lemon hasn't been out there to get some of these early reps or gain some of that development, get some of that chemistry with Jalen early on?
Yes and no, because there was the report that even though he wasn't practicing in 7-on-7s or 11-on-11s, he still was active on the field. Like I think they said he had the play sheet in his hand and he was standing around with the coaches, kind of trying to
Mental
soak up
reps.
as much info, yeah, as much info as he can, right? And then, like they said, he's gonna be ready for training camp. So I mean, you'd want him to get as much on the field action as he can, but just him being there, I think that's huge for him too, and being able to be in the classroom, watch the film, just understand what he needs to do, and then when it counts in 6 weeks in August when training camp starts, I think that can kind of make up for what he's missed so far in like minicamp.
Yeah, man, it's a bittersweet thing in my opinion. So I share your sentiment, yes and no. Where the Eagles have clearly shown, even with a guy like Jalen Carter, that while they want you guys to get these reps aren't. They would much rather you be prepared in those 6 weeks when the game start to, well, things start to get a little bit more intense. You get a little closer to what really counts and things of that nature, than for you to injure yourself here and then it's something that lingers on into the season. So
So
I
let me let me
understand that.
let me let me
Go
ask you
ahead.
about that the Jalen Carter thing, right? Like, so I haven't really kept up with it as much as I'd have liked to, but he hasn't practiced at all in team drills so far,
Team
has
drills,
he?
no. Like I don't think he's done any 11-on-11s, but I think
Yeah,
he's done some 7-on-7.
yeah. But I
So
know he's been, yeah, like he's been present, like he's been there.
yeah, he's there.
And I know
He,
when they asked Nick about it, he kind of skirted around the question.
yeah, he was very odd about it, but he's odd about everything. So what can we say? He was everything. He gives us food salad at this
Yeah.
point.
He's a bit of
But
an odd character himself.
yeah, man, that's my guy though. That was my guy. But I don't think it's anything to die for. I think if the Eagles had to play a football game today or tomorrow, Jalen Carter will be out there. It's just I'm not sure if it's them and contract negotiations because I'm sure his agent is sitting there like, "You're not going out there. You losing you nor me. I need my 3%. Another dime. You gotta just keep it cool, man. Just put it on ice for a little second." And even beyond that, the Eagles saw what a fully healthy Jalen Carter run looks like in 2024 and what a partially healthy Jalen Carter run looks like in 2025. And despite how great the defense was, that was a major impact on the defense. Imagine how much better they could have been if Jalen Carter was himself. So I think they're trying to avoid putting themselves in a position because I mean, just think about the conversation we had about the offense just a second ago about them it's still been a learning process. We got to wait for the process to happen before we get the results. Like you said at the start, this is like year 3 or 4 for the defense. They over there talking about how Vic Fangio taking it to another level, doing the next step of what he believes what this defense could be and stuff like that. So they got to be prepared if need be for the defense to carry this team for a month or so early in the season, if that has to be the case.
Yeah,
And that'll be hard to do with Jalen Carter not being himself as we seen last year.
yeah. But I think that's a good segue to my next takeaway. On the defense, the Eagles secondary, the trio of cornerbacks has the potential to be among, if not the NFL's best. Right, like it's one of the most talented units in the league on paper. Right, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, they're already all pros. They're already among the best, at their respective positions. Q being outside, Coop being in the slot. But Reek Woolen, I think he just adds another dimension to what this trio can be, right? And the proverbial hype train is taken off with him this spring, right?
Yes.
Like he's made plays in every session that's been open to media. Interceptions, pass breakups, the athleticism, long speed, it's all been noted.
Everyone that can talk about Reek Woolen has spoken about Reek Woolen. From Darius Slay, I'm not sure if you've seen his post on Twitter
Yeah.
with them talking about the Eagles will be the best secondary in the football this year, to some of his teammates, and they've spoken glowingly about what it's like to watch him, to coaching staff and them kind of being all about. I mean, you posted the photo of Vic
Vic.
Fangio. When the last time you seen Vic smile that hard? Honestly
Yeah.
speaking,
You gotta get somebody who look at you like Big Fangio look at Rick Woolen, man.
he seen that guy and was like, yes, yes, yes. My mad science's dream is almost complete. I have a safety that plays defensive line. I have a cornerback that's 6'4". I have a linebacker who covers. Yes. Like, my man is in heaven right now. But just all of the things that have been spoken about him, and then to see everything kind of translate to the field. Like you said, every single time they take the field, it's another Reek Willen big play. And not only is it another Reek Willen big play, I don't know, it's a bittersweet kind of thing because I mean, I'd like to think Devonta Smith can hold his own against some of these great corners in the league. We've seen it, but sound like Reek Willen has been holding his own against Devonta Smith, man. And I mean, he's 6'4". He's gonna hold his own against a lot of people, but the dude has been really freaking good early on. Let's see how everything continues to translate. But it, like you mentioned, it has the makings to be one of the better secondaries the league has to offer early.
Yeah, I think it goes back to, kind of like I said when they signed them. Last year they were able to get by with a Dory Jackson at the number 2 outside corner spot. And, as deficient as Adoree was in terms of his athletic ability, amongst other things, they got by with him. And then you had a
I
guy
mean,
like Rick Woolen, who is as talented as he is, you know, not only him playing or them playing off of him being Quinion and Coop, but Rick Woolen being able to play off of them, right? Like them being as talented as they are, it allows him some sort of security in terms of his coverage ability and being able to showcase that.
and that's the big thing. He's talked about him working on his ability to play off coverage on top of him and what he's well known for in man press and things of that
Yeah,
nature. And I talked about this earlier in the off season, but it felt like, especially when you go through the discrepancy of how the plays were distributed last year from an Eagle standpoint, and how often, at least compared to 2024, and how often the lack of variety was there. You talked about them and how they were able to go from cover 4 to cover, but let me not say lack of variety, because they replaced cover 6, not replaced it because they ran their fair share of cover 6, but they, for lack of a better term, replaced cover 6 with cover 3 last year. And I feel like this just adds another tool to the box. Not only will we see a lot of cover 3 because of how Woolen can hold his own in single coverage, we'll see a lot of cover 4 because both Woolen and Quinyon can hold their own on outsides. And I mean, sometimes it depends on what the route distribution is, who will have the safety help, and how and all that stuff. Cover 6, it allows you the opportunity to have a cornerback opposite of Quinyon, so you can actually mix and match of how you want to deploy compared to last year. You knew if the Eagles were running cover 6, it was going to be on the Dory Jackson side, so he can have the safety coverage. I mean, the safety help over the top, and Quinyon was going to be in the island by himself. Now you can kind of open all of this stuff up to just more variety from a play call standpoint if you're a big fan, Gio. So, which doesn't
He's
surprise
awarded.
me.
He's awarded a lot of leeway in terms of what he can call.
Yeah. Which doesn't surprise me when you hear people talk about, quote unquote, the next level of the defense, because it's like every single year, how he provides him with another piece that gets him another step closer to the. We talked in the beginning of last year, probably about the same time last year. Is this the best variation of defense that Fangio's ever had because of the acquisition of Jahad Campbell and pairing him with Bond? We talked about his time with those guys in San Francisco and Willis and Bowman, and his time in Chicago, what he was able to do with Smith and gracious, got his name right there. It's running away from me. Danny Trevathan, I think it is, right? But Trevathan, and just how special it was. And now you talk about this year, well, not only does he have the linebackers, one of which has the reps now heading into year 2, so he really can open it up a bit in the middle of the field. But he has the freak along the defensive line. One we're gonna touch on in a second, because talk about another guy that's having a big camp. Quail loves to see that. Draft Quail is like pounding with love right now. Like, I told you, I did it. But then you talk about on the back end having a legitimate shutdown corner. I believe it was, I can't remember if it was Christian Gonzalez or PS2 that was asked to name his top 5 corners in the league. I think it might have been PS2.
Gonzalez.
Oh, okay. And how
Q.
Quinyon has been like, and when you listen to a lot of these top corners in the league, they continue to mention Q on that. Like, Q's earned his stripes in this league, man. So for him to have a legitimate lockdown corner on one side, but have a dude that he can pair with him, where he can be even more aggressive with what he want to do and how he want to utilize Coop. Like, you don't think they wanted to use Coop at safety last year? It's just hard when you got a Dory Jackson on the field. So it opens up a whole hell of a lot of things that we can do defensively, man.
I think when you look at the way that all of these guys sort of play off of one another, where you just talked about it, but damn, sorry, you just talked about it. But Quinyon, technically speaking, he's one of the best in the league, right? Like, any coverage you ask him to play, he can execute it at a high level. Cooper's Gene on the inside, the IQ, the physicality, the versatility, and then Reek Woolen, the athleticism, measurables, the coverage ability. It all kind of mix and matches really well together. They play off of each other, really well, and it's a recipe for one of the better cornerback units in the league, I think. Did I lose you? I think I lost you. 1 second.
Sorry about that,
Okay.
man.
Are we back now?
We back.
All right. It's a live podcast.
Had to wait for the internet to reboot. Sorry, we having a storm up here. Just came out of nowhere. It's supposed to be here tomorrow. It told me 0% chance of rain today. And then I was outside early on and I looked up and I'm like, it's gonna rain. It's pretty dark. And then before we got on, the wind started blowing my trash cans over. I knew, oh, it might be a bad one. So my apologies, man. Live podcasting.
You good, man. We good, man. Just technical difficulties. It happens. But all right. Where were we? I
Secondary.
think yeah. I think it's like I'm saying. You look at the way all three of the cornerbacks play off of each other, and I think it's a recipe for one of the better cornerback units in the league. And I think when you look back to this time last year, we were watching Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson battle it out for the number 2 cornerback spot, and a year later, look at us.
Talk about a change, man. Feels kind of like the linebacker position back in the day. Like, gracious, we might never be in a better spot again. But in all seriousness, it's really cool to see not only how he's adapted, but the fit into the scheme. And I mean, you could tell the differences just in the way that Vic talks about the two, man. You listen to how he talked about Adoree last year and how he's basically like, I didn't watch any film on him. How he made a move, and I guess I got another guy. And then you talk about this year, and he got asked about Woolen, and he was like, "Yeah, because we tried to make a move for him last year. Had my opportunity to see the guy.
It's like I'm surprised he was available."
Yeah, so the stark differences in between then and now, kind of like you said, look at us, man, look at us.
Yeah. But did you have anything else on OTAs and minicamp? I know you talked about Jalen Hunt, or you alluded to him.
Yes, Jalen Hunt, man, another guy who is showing up big time. Having a big camp, man, big camp. Had an interception on Andy Dalton, coming off a year where he led the team in interceptions this past season. So it's cool to see him still getting his hands on the football, making big plays in the backfield. There was a whoopee sack on Jalen Hurts reported on early on. So he's been all over the place, and it's been really fun to hear a guy like Jonathan Grenard continue to give him praise. Like, it's always fun when you see certain people, those players that the Eagles acquire at certain positions, come into a room and how the affinity they have for the younger players behind them, where they clearly see the same talent that the Eagles seen and what could be next in the development. And I mean, I've talked about it since he's gotten drafted. It's going to be a slow walk. If you'd told me that in year 3 we were here, I'd have said, hell, we're a year ahead of schedule. But that's awesome to see. But it was always there, man. The potential of what he could be. He was just continuing to still learn how to play the edge position. And I mean, to an extent, he still is, man. Having an opportunity. We look at some of the guys he shared the room with outside of Brandon Graham and Jalen Phillips. Those are guys that are continuing to learn the position or are still young and ascending players in their own right. So for him to have a guy in Jonathan Grenard, a guy that like Jalen Phillips, like Brandon Graham, has been a double-digit sack guy in this league before, has an array of pass rush moves to his display, moves that it's not like that's something that Hunt couldn't add to his bag. I think we're kind of looking at we're primed to be looking at the next step in Jalen Hunt's development, man. It wouldn't surprise me that at this time next year, we're talking about contract extensions and the team picking between he and Nolan Smith. And
as big of a Nolan guy as I am, and Lord knows I love Nolan, Savannah boy, 912 guy, huge fan. I think if you had a needle and it had truth serum in it, word to the PHLY guys, but you injected that with the truth serum into Howie Roseman right now and he had to choose, I think he'd choose Jalen Hunt.
And it's not even just,
and I don't think that's hyperbole to say.
Right. And I don't even think it's just a who's going to come cheaper thing. You're talking about one being a former first round pick, one being a third or fourth round pick. But look at the differences in what they're able to provide to the defense, man. Like, and this isn't saying anything bad about Nolan.
Yeah. But that's why I think this year, this upcoming season, is such a big year for Nolan, right? Like he has to put it all together. Like he's battled some injuries. He's been among, I think, statistically the NFL's best in terms of run defending at the edge position. But just as a pass rusher, it's time for him to kind of put it all on display, right? Like
Yeah,
you got to
man.
kind of make it even with Jalen Hunt.
And it's kind of crazy. He has had the opportunity to be in a room with Brandon Graham, and
Yeah,
I'm not saying that Nolan has been a bust by any metric, but
nah.
Brandon Graham's calling card early on and still to end his career was his ability to stop the run. He had to
Mm-hmm.
figure out, navigate how to become the pass rusher that he is. But the between the traits and the measurables, it was all there. The flashes were there. It just was growth, and he ended up doing so. But it took some time. So I mean, granted, Nolan's a bit smaller than a guy like Brandon, probably more than a bit, but
Just play
he's
so
smaller.
violent.
Right. The play style is there. The want to is there. Where I mean, you've had all the tools there to kind of figure it out, man. And I mean, you were on track before the
Injury.
tricep
Yeah.
injury, and I mean that was always a thing. Even when he got drafted, he fell to us because of the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So that was always going to be a potential. And I mean, you've seen with the whole how the Kobe thing has played out. If it came down to a player that they think could fit better into the scheme and someone that fits into the cohabitation matrix, they tend to go the other way, oddly enough. So, yeah, Nolan, it's a big year for you, buddy, man. I'm like, excited for the prospects of what you could be, but I'm still trying to figure out who edge two is on the team right now. Like, who do they send
Yeah.
out there on third down?
And that's the thing. I think when you look at the edge room, and it's kind of akin to how he talked about the wide receiver room being kind of like a basketball lineup and all the different guys with the different skill sets and versatility and everything like that. But the edge room is kind of the same story, right? Like whether it's Grenard or it's Jalen Hunt and his athleticism, it's Nolan Smith and his ability to stop the run. It's AJ Epinesa, his ability as a rotational guy to be effective in both. It's Arnold Ebiketie, him as a pass rusher. So it's a lot of different guys with a lot of different skill sets. It's just like you said, kind of mapping out and figuring out who fits where best, and who does what the best, and how all of those pieces kind of complement each other.
So, I mean, we kind of taking a step backwards a bit because we're supposed to be discussing defense here, but kind of to pivot off what you just said in the Howie Roseman and the basketball and wide receiver room. Do you think that the age of the big three is dead? Kind of alluding to the basketball reference there, where how people say you got to create a whole team now instead of finding three superstars to win. You look at teams like you could say it started with the Seahawks this year, but honestly, it started before that. You look at teams like the Bills, you look at teams like the Chiefs, who, funny enough, they've been successful. We talk about the lack of success of their wide receiver room, but how they've been deployed has been very useful for their team over time. And I mean, you look at the Seahawks this year, this past year trading DK Metcalf, kind of being able to give a bit more to everybody else, and how the room really took a jump when they got a guy like Rashid Shaheed in, because they were missing the deep threat. They had
Mm-hmm.
everybody to fill every other role but the deep threat. And now they had that guy. Do you think the age of the two wide receiver ones are dead? I mean, you still have Cincinnati. There's a couple teams out there who, I mean, maybe Dallas, assuming that they get the George Pickens contract situation figured out, that clearly you don't want to play those offenses. Those are damn good offenses. But based on creation or construction, do you think those days are beyond us?
So when you look at schematics across the NFL on the offensive side of the ball, a lot of teams are running this same scheme, right? It's the Shanahan, it's the McVay, it's the I'm forgetting his name. I just mentioned his name in the article. Is it Alex Gibbs?
Yes. The
Yeah, it's
offensive
the
line
Alex.
coach.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's all that similar family of offensive systems, right? And a calling card of those offenses is spreading the ball around to different receivers. It's a lot of different receivers with a lot of different skill sets. You might have your clear 1A, but other than that, there's a lot of different guys who can kind of do a lot of different things. So I think to answer your question, I think in today's NFL, yes, the age of the big three at the receiver position, I think it is dead. But it's just because of the landscape of the offensive schematics that we're in.
Yeah, I mean, I can see why you would say that, but then you see teams like Cincinnati with Zach Taylor, who comes from a similar background. You see teams like the best example I like to believe is, well, maybe two. Depends on how you might feel about Jordan Addison. But you look at the Vikings and you look at the Rams, like they have two really good wide receivers, and you can make the argument so do the Eagles. Like they just used the first round pick on a wide receiver.
Yeah.
But will you say that they have two wide receiver ones or high end wide receiver one a high end wide receiver one and a high end wide receiver two? That's the conversation to be had. I mean, maybe not the Bengals; they have two wide receiver ones, but
Even the Rams, they have not Coop,
yeah,
Puka and Devontae.
and Devonta, but that's where I came into the whole high end wide receiver one thing. I mean, high end wide receiver two thing, because I think at this stage in his career, Devonta Adams is a high end wide receiver two. He's damn
Yeah.
good. Don't get me wrong. He's better than a lot of people receivers.
But even with the Rams, I think you look at them and the way they deploy their offense, they spread the ball around a lot too. They just
Right,
drafted a
that's
tight
where I
end
was
in
getting
what the
to.
second round, second or third
Hmm.
round after drafting one in the second or third round the year before that. So like it's offenses around the NFL today. Yeah, you might have a clear one wide receiver one and a high end wide receiver two, or another guy who you can look at as a one, but they spread the ball around. They ask a lot of different guys to do a lot of different things and contribute in a lot of different ways.
Yeah, man. So that was just something that piqued my interest listening to. I thought about it when Howie said that, but once you brought it up, I was like, oh yeah, it's the perfect time for the conversation.
But did you have anything else?
Let me look
I
through the
think
notes. I think we might have hit all the metrics. Oh yes, I have one last thing. One last thing. Time for some Jeremiah Trotter love, man. Shout out to Jeremiah Trotter, who seems like he's been fitting in seamlessly for Jahad Campbell so far. And I mean, again, like I've said 100 times, it's early, but I feel like over the course of filling in for Campbell, who's on ice at the moment, this is the second year in a row that Trot has taken significant snaps through training camp and things of that nature. And it seems to have shown up, man. You listen to people talk about how he's performed. I'd like to think he could prove himself to be a trade candidate with how damn well he's been playing, but I'm scared because just like N'Kobe Dean had injury history, so does Charles Campbell. And I mean, hell, we talking about the potential of what could be the future of Zach Bond going into 2027,
yep. I'm just
2028.
about to say that. I was literally
It's
just about to say that.
it's a
You
lot
could
of
you could keep
questions.
you keep Trotter in a vault this year because he still has he still has another year on his rookie deal, right?
A year or two. I can't remember
Yeah,
if it's year or two.
you
He
keep him
was in the
around for another year or two.
might be two because he was in the Hunt draft, wasn't he? They got drafted
Yeah,
together.
yeah, yeah. So 2 years. But yeah, you keep him in the vault for 2 more years. I think Zach Bond after this year, he has no more guaranteed money on his deal. He can be cut and you save, a huge chunk of cap room on him.
Yeah,
You move
man.
Jahad Campbell to the Zach Bond position and you slot in Trotter as the inside backer. Yeah, the
That's real
drop off wouldn't
development
be
right
that.
there.
Yeah, yeah,
Exactly. And I
yeah.
mean, it's something to pay attention to because they seem to value the snaps that he's getting. I mean, clearly they value him in the building. I mean, look at who he is. So that's why I said at first, like, I don't think he's a trade candidate because I don't think they would trade him. But I don't think his development should continue to go unnoticed. It's happening for something, whether
Yeah.
it's them just making sure they have depth in the case of an injury or whatever it may be, them preparing for life without Bond if and when that happens. Keep your eye on Trot, man.
Yeah.
Trot is a
Because
gem
I
waiting to
think
happen.
I, I think something to note about Jihad when he was drafted, Howie Roseman brought up the name Michael Parsons, right? Like I think they internally they envision him like they might have to play him at inside backer this year because Zach Bond is here, but I think they envision him as being one of those chess piece type of guys. You know that would not surprise me if that's what they long term that's what the vision is for him.
Yeah, man. And I mean, we just talked about quote unquote the next step of
Yeah.
the development. And I mean, all I think about often is how he utilized a guy like Alden Smith and how I think he was just waiting
Hmm.
for his next Alden Smith, man. And how Jihad could be that. Hell, Jalen Hunt could be that, but we'll see. But yeah, that's about it I had for you, man. Just had to get some Trout love in there.
Yeah. So one more thing, and then we can get out of here. There's been a lot of smoke out of OTAs, out of minicamp about Saquon Barkley being involved in the passing game, and this is something that kind of piqued my interest because if you look at the Shanahan offenses, the McVay offenses, they lean on the running back out of the backfield in the passing game a lot, right? Like, look no
You
further
said
than Christian.
Saquon McCaffrey?
That's what I'm about to say. Look no further than Christian McCaffrey and how much Shanahan utilizes him out of the backfield as a pass catcher. And I know, in maybe last year before last, there was a lot of
You got
noise
my
about
brain working
Saquon.
now.
Yeah, there was a lot of noise about Saquon being used out of the backfield as a pass catcher, and it kind of never came to fruition in the last scheme, the last system. But now that we're here
All
in
of them
this
do it.
system, in this
It's
scheme,
it's happening.
where like you said, all of them do you think like the
It's
Saquon
it's happening.
pass catching
It's happening.
year is among us?
If you play fantasy football, make the pick. It's happening. Let me just, I mean, I told y'all, I know y'all just heard he got the brain working now because I'm listening to him say it was there, but I never really thought about it like that. I never thought about the switch to the scheme. I always thought about
Yeah.
wide zone type of run plays, play action, all that. I didn't think about it like
And
that.
it's like when you think about it, like the play action game, the under center game, the misdirection, the window dressing, the motion, brother. Listen, man.
Hold on, let me cook for a second. Let me cook for a second before we get out of here. Christian McCaffrey, Kyle Shanahan, Chase Brown, Zach Taylor. Chase Brown does nothing but catch the damn football. I mean, of course,
Todd
he's in
Gurley.
Washington now. Don't worry, I'm cooking. Of course, he's in Washington now, but last couple years, both last year under Josh Brizard and the year before that under Liam Cohen, Rashad White. You look at Minnesota, Aaron Jones was highly valued for a reason. You look at that Green Bay, Aaron Jones was highly valued for a reason, and they let Aaron Jones walk
Even
because they got a guy in Josh Jacobs who
I'm about to say, even
catches the
recently, Josh
ball.
Jacobs. Yeah.
It's everywhere, every single one. They had Todd Gurley with the Rams, like you mentioned, and then what did they turn that into? Kyron Williams, who also catches the ball. It
And
was
Blake
right
Corum too.
there. Oh man, sorry. You almost got my swear out of me. You almost got my swear out of me. You almost got me, buddy. Almost got me, buddy. That's how I know it's almost college football season. I smell it in the air. Go to hell, Blake Corum. That might be better. That might be better.
But even last year with Kubiak in Seattle and the way they use Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet, like everywhere you look with this system, they use running backs as pass catchers.
It's the writing was right there, man. And I never seen. Thank you. You just opened up another thing to be excited about the offense. I never thought about it like that. This could be a big Saquon year.
I might
Not
write an
just
article about
Saquon,
that.
but Tank Bixby has been getting a lot of buzz out
Yeah.
of camp. We should have mentioned Tank too. Tank has been getting a lot of buzz out of camp. It might be some smoke to the fire. Some smoke.
Yeah.
Gosh.
But
I had nothing. I'm just over here marveling and what could be. See, and now I gotta do like I've been telling y'all, temper the expectations. God damn it, Pierre. We might see Todd Gurley Barkley. Run that man into the ground.
Saquon say he's been talking to Todd Gurley about the scheme and about running backs in the system. So there's that. But I think this is a good place to end it. Thank you to all 38 of you who tapped into the stream. Like I said, I'm going to be back active writing. I just dropped the article last week on the Jalen Hurts, Sean Mannion pairing.
Make sure y'all go tap in. Out the
That did,
article like 3 days
yeah.
before that. My man been cooking. He's in the
I'm
lab.
trying, man.
He's not
I'm getting
playing
back
with
to it,
y'all.
man. I'm getting back to it. But that
He's
Jalen
not
Hurts,
playing
Sean
with
Mannion
y'all.
article, that article did numbers, numbers. So appreciate if y'all are listening and you tapped into it.
Hey
Appreciate you
man.
100%.
This is see, I don't know if y'all know. Y'all don't shout out to this is my Brandon Graham voice, but y'all must don't know ORP like I know ORP. That's ORP right there. See, sometimes he be talking to y'all, and that's just Pierre Baptiste, cool guy. But when he get in his bag, that's ORP right there. You can tell from the articles.
Yeah, man. I'm getting back to it, man. I'm getting back to it. I cannot keep neglecting the gift. I can't.
Of course, man. Get the people what they want.
Yeah. But shout out to all 38 of you who tapped into the stream. If you're listening after the stream on whichever podcast streaming platform you're listening on, be sure to leave us a like and a review and rate us 5 stars. We will be back next week. I've been thinking we're gonna do a mailbag episode sometime soon.
Please,
So
I've been begging. I
when we
told
put
you
the
we had
tweet
a
out,
deadline until July 31st because once August come, we got to lock back in on it's ball time. So
yeah,
before July 31st, we need a mailbag episode.
yeah. So if you're listening, if you follow us on Twitter at the Philly Blitz _ on Instagram at the Philly Blitz _ when we put the post out, when we put the tweet out, X out, whatever you want to call it, the story post, all of those things, drop your questions under
Or
the post.
in my Parth voice, tell your friends, tell your mom's friends, tell your mom's friends, tell your brother, tell your cousin, tell Pierre and me.
Shoot us a DM also. Our DMs are open. We're not strangers. We don't bite. But again, thank you to everybody who tapped into the stream. We'll be back next week. Appreciate you for listening. Go Birds.
Go Birds. I got a lab to hop into.
Shout out Parth.